everyone, it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a collaboration video with Amanda from Rise and Procraftinate. If you've been around a little bit, you know that we do a collaboration every month, and this month we are choosing stencils, so a technique here, and we each chose 5 ways to use a stencil. So you will see 5 here on my channel and 5 on her channel, and I will have her video linked below. The first one that I chose to do was something that was a complete experiment, and I sprayed back my stencil with some pixie spray. Now, I did let it dry overnight. Just got preoccupied with things going on in my house, so I didn't get back to it in time. So if you were to do this, I would say don't let it dry overnight. But I sprayed it down, and then I filled in each of these little spaces with, well, it would have been clear water, but I cleaned off my brush and now it's purple water. And then I added a little bit of color to each of these spaces. I didn't do the whole stencil, I just did part of it. And I did use some Arches cold press paper as my watercolor paper. So I was using watercolor paper here. And these are just my Gonzai Tombi watercolors. I just pulled out 2 of the purple colors and use them. I will make cards of these, of each of the techniques. This video is going to be laid out a little bit different. You'll see the technique, you'll see a picture of the finished card. We'll go on to the next technique, and then at the end I will show you how I finished off each of the cards to get to that finished card. I hope that makes sense and it's not too confusing. I figured this way, if you just wanted to see the technique and the card I made, you could skip the end of the video, although I do appreciate it when you stick around. So here I just was finishing up. I was getting to the point where the stencil was kind of lifting off the paper, and that's simply because I let that pixie spray dry way too long. It really wasn't that sticky anymore. So like I said, I would recommend, if you're going to do this, spray it, let it sit for, a couple of minutes, and then stick it down to your paper, or use something like Tombow Mono multi-glue to get the tacky, instead of like a permanent adhesive. If you let it dry to the clear tack, then it'll stick down. That would definitely work here too. But here you can see when I lifted that off, it's beautiful. Like, I was so excited that it turned out like that. And then I pulled out these liquid pixie dust drops from Ink on 3, mixed a little bit of paint up and added just a little bit to it, so that although this very cool background with the different shades and all that would be there, I wanted to have a little bit of shimmer and shine. And I do really appreciate that I did this, because in the end, I love the finished look on my card. And I used a much smaller brush for this. I think I had a, what number is that one? It's a number 4 round brush when I was filling in my stencil. And then this is a 00 brush that I'm using for the liquid pixie dust here. I didn't want to go outside of the shape and mess up all that hard work I did with the stencil. I kind of wish I would have filled that last piece in to make it look like a diamond, but in the end it worked out just fine, and I had plenty to make a card. So I did want to show here that I just wiped this up with some of that not so clean water. And this was a Gina Marie Designs stencil. I need to figure out a better way to store my stencils, because I just keep them in the original cellophane. Gina Marie Designs doesn't have any labels on there, so I have a sticky note and some Sharpie marker written on there. Here's the finished card, and like I said, at the end I will show you how we got there, but I just wanted to flash in the finished card. So this is technique number 2, and technique number 2, well, you can see here I use my Scotch removable tape, and I taped it to the back, and then when I turned it over, I taped the tape through the stencil. It does not overlap the paper, just kind of sandwiched that in between. So I used these blending brushes. They're not really, they're makeup brushes. They're from the Dollar Tree. I have a few of them. I don't know, they work just fine for me. But I pulled out some Distress Oxides. Here I have Salty Ocean. Is it Salty Ocean? Nope, Broken China and Cracked Pistachio. And I am blending those together at the top of this stencil. Now, this is a stencil from the Rabbit Hole Designs. I picked it up at Christmas time. I have not used it for a Christmas card. I used it for a Spring Sweet card, which I really liked. And this technique here is fading to white. through the stencil. And this is the card I did make with it, and I will show you how we get there at the end of the video. But it just goes from that broken china through the cracked pistachio and then down to white, which I really do love as a technique. So here, this stencil, here's a different technique, and I could have done this a little bit different, but what I did here was used my Ink on 3 fade out ink, and I blended this over my stencil so that I could tell what I was doing. I could have, well, this is a colored pencil technique. I could have just colored through the stencil with my colored pencils, but I find I don't get a nice crisp edge because the stencil is thick. So this was what I did here. So I'm going to show you not the whole thing because there's a ton of coloring here. This one, however, was probably my favorite because I was able to just kind of zone out and color. And with everything going on in the world right now, I needed some zone out and color time. So I did this in rainbow colors. I have red, orange, yellow, aqua, blue, green, purple, and pink, and I just kind of rotated them around. You'll see it kind of makes a pattern inside here, and I colored the entire thing with well, single colors first, a really light hand. I just really wanted the shape down. One nice thing about this fade out ink is it definitely just fades away. The colored pencil covers it just fine. You could have done this with, or I could have done this with any light colored ink, I guess. This is how I got around that hole, not being able to get in all the fine corners with a colored pencil or colored medium. So here I'm just flashing through the different colors. You'll see that I am coloring in the same kind of pattern. I started the red in a different spot on each of the rows, and then kind of worked my way around with all the different colors. And I did a single color first. And you'll see that it turns out beautiful. I definitely could see doing this with lots of different colors. Like I could see doing this on a dark cardstock. You'd probably have to like ink it over with white, like on a navy, and then color that with silver or gold or even just white pencil. It would be super pretty with a single color like this. Once I got this part done, it was very pretty, it was light, it was soft, it was rainbow. It made my heart happy, but I thought it would make me just a little bit happier if I could add a little bit more depth and dimension. After I finished off going around and coloring in each of the spaces with a single color, I did bring in a second color to darken the very center of this design. I just thought it would add a lot more depth and dimension. Now I could have just left it like this. It is really pretty and soft and very spring-like, and I think that it would have been just fine. But I wanted just to add much more bold color, and to do that I just decided to put the bold color in the center and then blend it out with my lighter tone. You'll see that here in a minute, but I did add the pink and the aqua. Those are very much not in the rainbow, but I thought that they worked well here. And I used my Prismacolors. I just have, I think it's a 48 set. I don't have that many, but if you see me coloring with my Prismacolors, that is the set that I'm using. And I seem to be, I don't know, they seem to be working just fine, I guess. It would be nice to have more colors, but I feel like I would use them just as often if I had more colors than I do now. And that's an investment I don't really need to make right now. Do you have colored pencils? Is it something that you use a lot because you have more of them, or are you like me and pull them out every once in a while? This technique could also be done with Copic markers or water-based markers. You could color through the stencil, or you could do like I did here in ink blend and then color in the spaces. You can see here that the colors got much more bold and bright when I added that second tone. And this is the card, and I will show you how that comes together at the end as well. The next technique we're going to do is going to be selective ink blending. So this is a Pink and Made stencil, and it has 3 sections on it. It's got hearts and stars and I think spots. They're kind of like falling confetti. They're really pretty, but I don't want to use all of them, and I also didn't want to use just the same color. So I used some of my repositionable Scotch tape, and I taped off, the parts that I didn't want, just the edge there. And then I ink blended it in yellow, the squeezed lemonade, and then I went over just a little bit with the orange. And I got this really pretty background that is all stars. It goes from orange to yellow, and this is that card. I think that one makes me giggle the most, and I will show you how that one comes together at the end. So the next technique I wanted to show you was embossing with a stencil. Now this is another Gina Marie Designs stencil. I used the embossing mat, 2 plates, and I did use some repositionable tape to tape it together so it didn't shift in my machine. And this is very hard to see because it's white on white. Do try to tip it and all that. You can kind of see it, but it is very hard to see. But this is the card that I finished off for that one. And here is how everything went together. So this panel, I did take my time here and kind of try to show you that you can see that it is embossed, and it's just circles. It's a really nice way to get an additional element to your cards by adding a little bit of texture. I mean, you can stencil part of your image or your card and also emboss some of it too. You could emboss and then stencil over it. It's really cool. And then I used this die, and this is from Close to My Heart. And I die cut this twice out of white, and I layered it together. I wanted to add just a little bit more dimension to my card. And then I layered everything on top. This squirrel set is from Miss Ink Stamps. And that squirrel actually is like juggling some leaves. And I thought it would be really interesting to make him do something else. So I just cut the leaves off when I fussy cut him out. I wanted him to kind of hold this word mom. I thought that that was really kind of fun. All of these cards are going to be Mother's Day cards today. So we're going to make 5 Mother's Day cards. The mom die that I used for anytime you see a die cut word mom is from Simon Says Stamp. I have, I think, all of the words. They're kind of all family. Mom, dad, uncle, sister, brother, cousin, you know, great grandma, all of them. I use them quite often. They're super dainty and pretty, and I just layered all this up and had the squirrel holding mom, and it says, Mom, I'm nothing without you. Happy Mother's Day. I do finish the insides of these, and I will show you all that too. But this is the front. It is not finished. What I'm going to do is show you me putting everything together, then adding finishing details, and then I will show you the insides of the cards. So this one here is from a stamp set by Concord and Ninth. It's called Special Delivery, and it says, I love you more than tacos and ice cream. And I just thought that was a super fun Mother's Day sentiment. Like a kid could be giving that to their mom, and you know, mom would totally appreciate that, because what kid doesn't love tacos and ice cream? So I added foam tape to the little elements here, to the taco and to the ice cream. And I pop them up into place. I mean, how fun is this card? It just makes me giggle. And then here is another one of those mom die cuts, and I'm going to add that there. So it says, Mom, I love you more than tacos and ice cream. Happy Mother's Day. And that is that stencil technique where we did the selective inking and did the different colors. Now this is our colored pencil panel. I popped up the Happy Mother's Day on some foam tape, added another mom sentiment there, and that was that card completely. Now this is the fade to white, and I glued this panel down to some black. You'll see black is kind of a repetitive theme here. It just breaks everything up nicely. Added this. I love that we don't have to say out loud that I'm your favorite child, and Happy Mother's Day. Now that is a two lips stamps. It's from Polka Dots and More, and Polka Dots is actually pretty local to me, so I bought it actually in the store of all places. So here is the watercolor panel that we did in the beginning. I heat embossed Happy Mother's Day from the same stamp set by Avery L in some silver, and I did watercolor the floral that is in that set, and just fussy cut that out and laid that on top, and those are the 5 cards. Now we're going to finish them off. So most of the finishing details on these cards are done with some Nouveau drops. I have a bunch of them. This is a collab with Amanda from Rise and Procraftinate. When I first started on YouTube, I was talking about how I was struggling with my Nouveau drops, and I have one that's like really thick. She said, first of all, store them upside down. Second of all, warm them up. Okay, my craft room doesn't get cold like hers does, so that wasn't the thing. But I do store them upside down in a spin thing and a spinner like desktop thing, and they work so much better. And here, those are crooked. Whoever gets this card, I am sorry, but it's handmade. Time to move on. For this one here, I added some silver. First, I did add some white gel pen detail to the center of those purple flowers, and then I just add super tiny little silver dots to this one. I thought it didn't need a ton, but I thought the little super duper tiny circles of silver were perfect for this one. I did ask my husband which one he liked best, and he said this one. He likes the watercolor flowers the best. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. And then I pulled out like a bajillion different colors. Not really. I pulled out one for each of these. You don't see the dark blue there, but you'll see it come out. And I kind of just randomly added dots to the coordinating colors. At first, I didn't want them all filled in, but then I realized that I had so many that I was probably going to end up with, quite a few of them filled in. But I did pull, a red, a yellow, a pink, an orange, a purple. I have this aqua color here. And then I will pull in a blue, but the blue I have is like sparkly. So at first I was like, well, I don't really want that, but in the end I added it. I think it adds quite a bit to this card. It just seems fun and it adds texture, and it's still kind of that same color palette. So I feel like it looks pretty. I don't know. I think this would be a good one for a quilter mom. If you have a quilter mom, I think it would be great. What do you think so far? Have you decided what card you like best? Because I always get excited about picking one. Like, I know I'm gonna pick one that I like best, and usually there is a card or two that I find like I'm more drawn to when I do a collection like this, but I like them all in the end. So to finish the insides of the cards, I pulled out some wooden mount stamps. Now these are some pretty old ones. One of them is by Stampabilities. The other one is by Paper Inspirations. The Paper Inspirations is the one you see with the mother is on the side. It says, "You have given your love so selflessly and have sacrificed your time so generously, and you are loved and appreciated so much. Thank you." The other is kind of a fun font, and it says, "A mother is someone who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take." I just thought those would be great inside sentiments for anybody. And, you can just sign "Love Johnny" on the bottom, and Mom thinks you spent all sorts of time finding the perfect words when in fact they are already inside the card. So here I'm just finishing them off. They all dried, so those Nouveau drops are all dry on every one of them. I was still torn on this one because those drops are all wonky and crooked. I don't know. It's a handmade card, right? So it is what it is. I think that card is hilarious, though. I'm glad we don't have to say that I am your favorite child. And then this one makes me giggle so much that I love you more than tacos and ice cream. Concord and Ninth definitely has a great sentiment there with that one. And the squirrel was, I don't know, I just like them all. I really loved this watercolor technique. I thought it was so pretty, and I can think of lots of ways to use it. I really enjoyed the colored pencil through the stencil. I thought that was a really soft look, and it's beautiful. I thought that the fading to white was so fun, and I really am a fan of that Rabbit Hole Designs stencil. The Pink and Main stencil with the different sections that you could use, that has a lot of versatility. And then embossing with a stencil, it always adds so much to a card. And I know it's hard to see there with the white and white, but it is really cool. So I'd love to know, first of all, did you find a favorite card? Did you have a favorite technique? And have you checked out Amanda's channel? I will have her video linked below. She is my very best buddy on YouTube here, and we do this every month. We collaborate, and it's always a different theme or topic, and it has been by far my favorite collaboration effort ever. So, I do appreciate you stopping by. I very much value the comments and the subscribers and the likes, and you see that my channel is growing, and I am so grateful for you. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. And as I always say, give cards generously. Bye.